Are there any questions?
I believe you refer to yourself as a different sort. How do you think that different sort relates to the electorate in the 4th District when you look at the voting patterns here?
That's the next level of analysis. I like the idea that if you want change, if you want somebody who's different, and people do want somebody who's different, they want a change in politics. The approval ratings for Congress and the President are at historic lows. And for Congress down in the teens, for the President in the 20s. So people just plain want change. And the first thing you have to do for change is you have to actually change. If you want something different, you have to change. And I'm definitely that. And then the next hurdle is, might I be the kind of change you want? You know you want change. I could say if you vote for Paul Corden, and certainly if you vote for Inglis, you're not really going to get change, because Inglis is obviously more of the same. Paul's a good guy, but he is substantially in the same sort of mold. He comes from the same sort of background as most politicians. His website says substantially the same things that other politicians say. I do not. So I actually am changed. Whether or not it matches up with the 4th District is a good question. I'm not tailoring the campaign to agree with anybody. I'm simply saying what I think, and if the electorate likes it or likes enough of it, then they can vote for me and we can go from there.
Have you run for office before?
Well, with the exception of the 2006 campaign, which you could say was running for office, it was certainly some valuable experience, and it got me to this point. So I suppose technically you would say yes, I have run for office, though not in a let's say a mainstream sort of way. So it was good. I called Inglis out on the war. He is on his website, and that was part of the reason to do it, is to introduce the internet into politics, and I established a dialogue with Inglis website to website, which was really a rewarding thing to have done, and particularly on an issue of that sort of gravity.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody want to give me some practice here? You, sir.
Sure.
In the blue.
How will you be able to work with Republicans and very conservative Democrats in Congress for change?
That's a good question, and I'm going to reuse the line that I used with Griff when I was talking to him about. It seems to me it's something of a self-fulfilling prophecy that if I can convince people in the 4th District to actually elect me to be their congressman, I should be able to convince most anybody of anything. So we'll see where it goes. Any other? You?
Well, one of Bob's hallmarks has been the hydrogen economy, and I know that you're a scientist, and there's painfully few scientists and engineers in Congress. In fact, 10 out of 535. Do you have any thoughts that you could about that?
I should have worked that into the speech. Yes, 10 is not enough in an increasingly technical world. In my experience, I worked on the space program, and you would occasionally deal with politicians, and of course we see them all on the TV. In general, they know essentially nothing about technology, and that is becoming more and more of a burden. Back when Washington and Jefferson were the president, you didn't have nuclear weapons, and you didn't have things like global warming, and you didn't have massive environmental change and engineered viral weapons and all that sort of thing. And unless you actually have a technical background, you can't really understand those things on the level that you need to understand them to try and deal with them. So yes, we could do with a lot more technical expertise in Congress as opposed to 98% lawyers or whatever we have.
Specifically about the hydrogen economy?
Probably won't work. I try and separate out between. I have a visceral reaction to people politicizing technical questions because I dealt with that at NASA, and I don't like to see that happen. So I try and separate out. Politically, I need to think that hydrogen is just dumb. Hydrogen will never work. Technically, probably it won't. There's some chance it could. It's not going to work because Inglis dumps a bunch of money into it. Probably it won't work because of, as you know, just the laws of thermodynamics and the free market. But we'll see what happens. And one more question.
Do people want to contribute to your campaign or get involved in it? How do they go about doing that?
They go to the website, christianforcongress.com. There's a button that says contribute. There's a button that says get involved. You can drop me an email. There's a post office box. Contact the campaign. We can use all the volunteers that we can get. So there are no further questions.
One to wrap it up, please.
One?
Mr. Hoover brought it up a minute ago about the demographics, we might say, in the district. Realizing that the rating for the president and the Congress is the lowest probably it's ever been, there's also a rating where it comes out where the statistics show that people, when it's polled, average 58 to some 60%, that they're satisfied with their own representative, but they don't like other people's representatives. How's your analysis brought that in, make it come into play?
How do you deal with that? Actually, I was thinking about that on the drive over here, that Congress has an approval rating in the teens, and yet, as you say, and we've all probably read that a number of times, people tend to go with their own congressman. They think for some reason that he is not representative of Congress as a whole. There's a reason that incumbents get reelected 98 or 99% of the time. We have to find some way to let people know that your congressman is a member of Congress, and he in fact probably is part of the system. And if they get more basically plain vanilla than Bob Inglis, I would like to see who it is. Bob appears to me to be perfectly representative of a congressman, and if you have a low opinion of Congress, you ought to manage to be able to translate that to your present congressman, Bob Inglis. We'll see if I can convince more people of that as the primary continues and hopefully into the general election.